Hello and welcome to another edition of the Net Report podcast. This week, we're going to be going over all of the results and fallout and just our general reactions of the NFL season week 4. We had tons of great games, some not so great games that we're not going to waste our times on. Chris, it's so exciting. I love football.
Yeah, it's been a very unpredictable season. Once again, another week where our pool is just absolutely trashed. I think
Hey,
8-8 again this week.
we all, I think we got like 13 right in week 1, and we haven't gotten to double digits since. It's
Mm-hmm.
been bad,
Wildly
very
unpredictable.
bad.
We'll start with something that was a little bit predictable. And we had the Cowboys Thursday Night Football defeat the New York Football Giants 20-15, and really just kind of another Cowboys Giants game in the sense that Cowboys didn't look overly impressive. They did what they had to win. Brandon Aubrey couldn't hit that field goal to cover, but you know, the big news after that game is more Micah Parsons and Marcus Lawrence out, and this is absolutely massive for this Cowboys team. And we don't know how long. Do we know how long they're going to be out now? I know it's been a few days.
I know both injuries I was looking into are look to be multiple week injuries. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. Anytime that either of them miss, though, is significant for this Cowboys defense, just because they've kind of struggled a bit as the season's gone on. I know their numbers are a little inflated from that Saints game, but even still, their defense hasn't played up to par, I would say. And if they can't get that pass rush going, that's kind of a big part of this defense.
Mm,
It's just going to make things harder for them. I mean, they've yet to win a game at home, but they've won both of their games on the road. So, I mean, like you said, kind of just a regular Cowboys Giants game. Not a lot going on for offense. Just be very honest with you, it was kind of just like a slog fest. But Cowboys get it done like they were supposed to. They're 2-2. Giants continue to struggle. It wasn't a bad game for Daniel Jones, but it really wasn't a great game either.
mm,
Malik Neighbors continues to eat, like just absolutely feast and eat. But they Giants fall to 1-3, and we're gonna see where they go going forward, and if Daboll can turn this around.
yep.
We're gonna kind of continue forward over to the AFC. Kind of one of the worst offensive games this week with the New York Jets and the Denver Broncos. Broncos ended up squeaking it out 10-9 after Greg DeLay could not make about 50-yard field goal to win the game. But just overall, Jets had no offense, and it's been the story of the season for them. Aaron Rodgers, even though he's air quote healthy, has just not been able to get them going. Wildly inaccurate. Wasn't great weather, but I mean, 24 for 42, a little over 200 yards, but 9 points for this team that has Rodgers, Wilson, and Brees Hall. Brees Hall wasn't very effective either on the ground. I don't know where this team goes going forward, if they need a trade or if it's kind of just a lost season, but definitely disappointing overall for them.
Yeah, very disappointing. Especially like the weather wasn't great. You would hope Brees Hall could have more than 10 carries for 4 yards and just absolutely abysmal. Denver's never been a great run defensive team. I know that the numbers say they're better this year, of course, after this game, but the last few years they just have not been good. Brees Hall couldn't get going. Braylon Allen looked a little bit better, but really you're just hoping Aaron Rodgers and these receivers, you hope there's a little bit more of a connection there. I mean, we thought Garrett Wilson could go over 1,500 yards. It's not looking anything close to that this season, and the offense just hasn't looked good. There's no reason this Denver team should be beating them like at all, or even in the same stratosphere. And it's the second week in a row this Denver Broncos team has upset someone they had no business upsetting. I mean, Bo Nix had 60 yards passing. Absolutely, like, just one of those weird teams so far this year. So I guess if you're looking for one team to play spoilers, look out for the Broncos because it's been weird so far this year. 2-2 now in the season.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing decent defense. I mean, that wins you football
Mm-hmm.
games, even if Bo
Fair.
Nix is not a very good quarterback. But
Mm-hmm.
we move on. We head over to probably one of the two offensive explosion games that we saw this week. Vikings Packers. Sam Darnold just continues chugging along. He's aiming for that MVP. It seems like. The story of this game is the Vikings. dominated the first half, going up 28-7 at the end of the half. And their defense was struggling in that fourth quarter, but they held on and won this game 31-29. Jordan Love is finally back. Looked a little rocky, threw a couple bad picks, but still threw for over 375 yards, 4 touchdowns. But again, the story was the Vikings dominated the first half. Brian Flores' defense on that Vikings team just was smothering the entire offense for the Packers, and Sam Darnold was just chugga chugga choo choo right along. Him and Jay Jettas is just an insane combination. It seems like. Which hands up, I didn't draft Jay Jetta for that exact reason. Um, but their defense did struggle a little bit in that fourth quarter, but they came away with the win. That's all that matters. They played good defense when they needed to. They got the win. I mean, this team is 4-0, and that's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, and I expect Green Bay to bounce back as well next week. Or, they looked great in the second half of this game. Obviously,
For
Love
sure.
struggled with some rust in the first half. I wouldn't look too into it. It's a division matchup. These games are going to be close, especially now knowing the Vikings are a contender in the NFC. Like, we didn't see it coming, but these are two great teams, and it ended up very close. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of this throughout the season in terms of you're going to see them in some close games, and both teams are exciting going forward. I just so excited for the Vikings, man. Complete 180 from what we thought.
No, I love this story for Sam Darnold. I love it for the Vikings. I mean, Kevin O'Connell is an awesome coach. And then, yeah, I didn't want to make it sound like if I did that, the Packers kind of
Mm.
are struggling a little bit.
No,
I mean,
just
yeah,
wanted to touch on it.
they lost a really tough game. But I mean, Jordan Love when it mattered looked great. I mean, yeah, there was some rush with some picks, but overall, I mean, they'll be fine moving forward for sure.
Mm. No, most definitely.
We have another division matchup here in the NFC as well. Falcons and Saints. And for a while there, it looked like the Saints were going to take this one home. But Waiku said, no, 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 and smashed that 58-yarder through to win them the game 26-24. Not a really pretty game, kind of ugly overall, but kind of what you expect from the NFC South, to be honest with you.
Mm.
They very often have these very ugly grit and grind football games. Um, Neither quarterback looked great. And I would say this is back-to-back weeks where the Saints offense hasn't looked as dominant and as explosive. We'll see if that continues going forward. They still look fine, but less explosive than they have in the past couple weeks. But still, Falcons get a must win. Like this was a huge, huge win for them for Waiku to get to nail that kick. They needed to be 2-2 and not 1-3 in the worst possible way. Just to keep pace with both the Saints and the Buccaneers in this division.
Yeah, this division's like looking very tightly contested. I don't know if we would have expected it to be this tightly contested in the sense that all three of those teams seem at least above average. Do I think any of them are world beaters? No. My favorite right now would probably be the Buccaneers. We'll get into them a little bit later, but
Bucs and Saints can both make the playoffs, though.
mhm.
100%.
Falcons staying on pace though, absolutely massive because they lose this game, you fall to 1-3. Your chances of winning that division are almost. I don't want to. I don't want to say zero, but almost zero because you gotta keep
It
pace
gets
with these
tough because
teams.
I expect all these divisional teams to like split their series. Just to be very honest,
Hmm.
this is one of those divisions where it's like sweeping a division rival kind of gives you the division, and I expect them all to kind of like tie outside of Carolina. They're probably all going to sweep Carolina.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll see. Great win for the Falcons. I mean, I want them to be good. Like, I mean, Kyle Pitts doesn't want them to be good apparently because he doesn't ever catch a ball, but everyone else seems good.
Kyle Pitts, public enemy number one for all fantasy football players.
How did we fall into this trap again?
You fell into it. I don't have him in a single
Shut
one of
up.
my leagues.
I didn't draft him. I traded for him. It's different.
It's even worse.
Shut up. So, Chris, your Eagles.
Yeah, it's a disappointing loss. Eagles lose to the Buccaneers 33-16. You could say this is just me coping or whatever. I'm not looking too into it. They're going into the bye week, week 5. They were without Lane Johnson. They were without Devontae Smith. They were without AJ Brown. I don't understand how this team was favored going into this game. They had no business being favored in Tampa, of all places, too. They couldn't really sustain any offensive drives. Like, their defense was on the field so much of the game. That's a reason why the Buccaneers kind of went up really early. I also think Nick Sirianni, once again, just did not have this team prepared to play. That's a big theme we're noticing throughout this. I'm not going to be as unfair and blame the whole everything on him because, like, this game just out the gates, it was a recipe for disaster. I think they just need to get healthy going into the bye. I'm not going to overanalyze it. Buccaneers, on the other hand, look amazing. Like, you expect, like, man, they dropped that one to Denver. You know, are they really for
Offensive and
real?
defensive.
They dropped that one.
They were killing Jalen Hurts in the back.
And I, not to like trash the Buccaneers defense either. I think a lot of that is just due to like historically Hurts has never played well without Lane Johnson. The same even for Carson Wentz. Just Eagles QBs do not play well if Lane Johnson isn't there. You don't have your top two receivers.
I mean, not a surprise. I mean,
so I don't want to overanalyze it from there, but the Buccaneers offense, man, just incredible. Once again, I was worried
just
maybe they'd fall back to earth, but no, I mean, after that Denver loss, no, they still look great, and that's kind of why I have them as the favorite for that division right now, and they look incredible. We're going to see a lot more from the Eagles. We're going to see what this team really is made out of after their bye week. They face the Browns in week 6, and that game's going to be absolutely massive for them because they should have A.J. Brown back. They should have Devontae Smith back. Hopefully have Lane Johnson back. If you put up a stinker against the Browns, we're going to see this team's more than likely is more like the team that kind of collapsed towards the end of the season than the team that started the season last year. So
we're going to be talking about Nick Sirianni looking for a job next year.
Almost certain. 100%. I still think. Most Eagles fans don't want him on the team.
You keep talking about like he doesn't have this team prepared. I mean, that's nail in the coffin for me. We can't go multiple weeks where you're not prepared for the team you're playing. Like,
I don't know.
We'll go into it in a later video, but I think that barring a deep playoff Super Bowl run, I don't see Nick Sirianni on this team.
100%. I think the dream for most Eagles fans, and this was kind of going all throughout Twitter yesterday, is Ben Johnson of the Lions. And dare I say maybe Bill Belichick, but as of right now, me personally, stop. Come on. As of right now, you just don't like that as a Patriots fan. But as of right now, I think the dream should be Ben Johnson. And that's like, fingers crossed, what I hope we get. But we'll see. We got to see how the season plays out.
You certainly do need to see how the season plays out. Bengals, they got to win.
Finally.
Joey B got a win in Carolina.
Sky would have been absolutely falling if they didn't win this game, by the way. But they win, and it still is falling. But if they win a tough game against Baltimore coming up, they're back in the playoff hunt. I'm not willing to write them off because this is a team we've seen succeed. Still questions about that defense though, man. Like Carolina still looked like it had a pulse in this game.
Dalton didn't look bad. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Carolina's looked better the last few weeks, but Carolina scoring 24, I believe it was, right? You asking them to contain Lamar.
Johnson was looking amazing. They couldn't stop Chuba Hubbard at all.
Nope, not at all. My fantasy team loved that, but yeah, Chuba looking good, Deontay looking good. I mean, it's like, when is this going to give? It's the same thing 2 years in a row, but one step at a time. They got the win. That's what's most important. Got to head into Baltimore. Are they in? No, they're in Cincinnati, right? I don't remember where they're playing, but they have to get that win. It's a must win. You go down to 1-4. I don't think you're coming back from this season. So it's a great first step.
You go down 1-4. We're talking about T. Higgins trade partners.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, but at least the first step's done. Bengals really got to lock in, win this game against the Ravens coming up.
Agreed. Another divisional matchup that we saw, Jacksonville 0-4. Texans lead a game-winning drive behind C.J. Stroud, went 24-20. Not much here to really talk about outside of Jaguars are just terrible. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, I don't remember him being this bad the past few seasons, but their offense just looks putrid. Like, absolutely putrid.
We talked about it last week too, but another game where they're 0-4 now. They're playing Indianapolis next week. Are we going to see Doug Peterson make it out this week if they lose? I don't know. Like, Trevor Lawrence has not looked good. There has to be something's got to give here, man. Like, whether it's new offensive scheme, something. Just this team has looked terrible since Thanksgiving of last year. And it's very unfortunate. Easily the most disappointing team in the NFL so far. Texans handle business. Great bounce back win for them, but
Sure.
this Jaguars team, it's disappointing. Disappointing as ever, really.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the highest hopes for them, but I had them in the playoff mix, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not there. We're looking like we're tanking for someone. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Sad hours for them for sure. Speaking of sad hours, Anthony Richardson is hurt again. He exited the Colts Steelers game relatively early with a hip injury. Um, and that would, for most teams, mean failure and losing. But you all forgot the Colts went out and
Oh
got the MVP, greatest player of all time, backup quarterback Joe Flacco.
no.
And the Colts won this game 27-24 because of course they did, because Joe Flacco can't be stopped apparently.
Joe Flacco is
What the
elite.
hell?
Yeah, man. I
Why are
mean,
we having this conversation again?
I wish I could tell you. Um, here's one fun
It's the
stat.
rest of the Patriots should have just gotten Joe Flacco and we'd win every game. I'm convinced.
Here's one fun stat for you, Anthony Richardson and Colts fans, just to like cause panic. Anthony Richardson has won 4 games. 3 of them he's left early for injury.
Yep.
So there's that.
Yep.
Not that I'm on the Anthony Richardson hate train, but I just heard it and I thought it was interesting.
Insane. That's an insane stat. Um, I mean, Steelers struggled offensively up until the last quarter of the game. Justin Fields didn't look terrible, but I mean, the story here is that Joe Flacco kind of led them to a win. Awesome story for the Colts. They kind of stay in that division mix with the Texans. Steelers suffered their first loss, but again, they're in a very tight division. Not the end of the world for them. Lose a game on the road, it happens. They really should have handled business, but again, not the end of the world for them. Chris, I hope you bet on Jaden Daniels for Offensive Rookie of the Year because he's sure going to win it.
I definitely did not. I 100% had. Well, I didn't bet on it, but I would have bet all my dollars on Marvin Harrison and Jaden Daniels kind of coming out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere. That's a little disrespectful, but I wouldn't have
I
expected him to be
mean,
this
this
good out the
is
gate.
26 for 30, bro. That is an
Mm-hmm.
insane completion percentage. Like, holy moly. They dominated this game offensively, 42-14. Cardinals scored on their first drive to go up 7-0 and just nothing since.
Disappointing, I know, and I expected this to be a shootout too, and just kind of
For
after that
sure. No, I
first
did
first
too.
quarter, first drive, just nothing burger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about this Cardinals offense. They're still trying to piece things together. I mean, they look fine. That defense is the concerning part, and that's not too surprising. They're probably going to trade off Buda Baker here at this trade deadline. But
Mm-hmm.
story here, man, is Jaden Daniels is lighting the NFL on fire. And he's
Yeah.
not doing anything overly crazy. He's just doing something overly crazy for a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
He's just very accurate.
I think an underrated aspect of this too, just for the Commanders, this team can very well win the division. Like Cowboys 2-2,
Oh,
Eagles
100%.
2-2. Like these are teams that look very mediocre. The Commanders, in all honesty, have looked better than both of these teams. And if you
By
tell
a
me
mile.
I think the Commanders too, like if you're looking at the betting odds, they're still third in betting odds and they're currently leading the division. Like, take those odds because, and I'm telling you this as an Eagles fan who I don't think the Eagles look very good. I don't think the Cowboys look very good. It's a rookie QB, gotta temper expectations, but Commanders look good right now. Kind of crazy to think about.
I agree. And they don't have a rough schedule coming up, if we're being very honest. I mean, they have Browns, Ravens. Okay, that's tough. Panthers, Bears, Giants after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's they end their season rough. I won't lie. Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys. That's a tough stretch of four.
Go 2-2
but
during that stretch, though. I mean, I guess anything's possible.
anything's
I
possible for
think there's a
sure.
real world where you can win this division at 9-8 or 10-7. So we'll see.
10-7 for sure. 9-8, I don't know about. 10-7 for sure though.
Mm, we'll see. I mean, can be the NFC least. It can be the NFC beast. You never know with these guys.
It's gonna be the Leafs this year for sure. Um, move on to the AFC division again. Chiefs win a squeaker in Los Angeles against the Chargers. Big
Ooh.
story here, even though they won 17-10. Rashee Rice, we're not really sure. Knee injury, sounds like it's pretty bad.
Sounds
Um,
ACL like, and it's we're not expecting him
we
back
are
this season, to be
no,
honest.
we're you're gonna see a lot of reports of receiver X to the Chiefs for trade rumors. You're gonna see every receiver
Mm-hmm.
rumored to the Chiefs. I'm just telling you right now. There's just no shot you're not. Um, but I mean, they still won the game. This is Travis Kelsey's best game of the season. Mahomes looks fine. Not much really here. The big story, in all honesty, it's Rashee Rice. It's a huge blow for the Chiefs offense. I mean, Kareem Hunt, actually, let me highlight him. Looked really good in his
Mm-hmm.
return back to Kansas City.
And
Not bad. I
they're
mean,
getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back next week too, which is minuscule as it may sound, the two of them together actually make for a
Clyde
fine running game.
Edwards-Helaire.
I mean, the two of them together make for a fine running game. Let's chill. You got Steele there, P Ryan. It's something. It helps them out quite a bit. Gives them options.
Yeah, my dog at running back is something. Doesn't mean it's good.
I promise you,
Edwards-Helaire is bad.
Canelo is not running for 2 yards a carry. We can start this debate later, but
So, Chris,
mm-hmm.
what happened to the Josh Allen MVP hype train?
Fell off a cliff this week, and I was all aboard
It
the Josh Allen MVP hype train, but
sure picked the Bills in
Sunday Night Football happened,
our pick a
and
poll.
mhm, we
Sunday
both
Night
did.
Football happened. Yep. Bills marched into Baltimore and they left with their tails between their legs because they
Mm,
got absolutely beat
yep.
down.
King Henry
Beat
stomped all over them.
down.
I believe what was it, 196 yards or something crazy like that.
It was 199.
199. See, getting old. Memory not up there.
199. First play from scrimmage for the Ravens was like an 87-yard touchdown run from Derrick Henry, and it was all downhill from there. The
Yep.
Bills. They were just an amazing defensive performance from the Ravens, and they're interesting for sure. After disappointing going 0-2, they've won back-to-back games. We'll see if they can sustain it going forward. They're interesting. I'm not ready to blow out expectations like, oh my God, Ravens Super Bowl favorites. Let's temper expectations. They've looked a little rocky this year. I think that as long as the defense can continue to play good ball like this, the offense will feed off that. Derrick Henry for this offense, however, is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Saquon and the Eagles, this is like a perfect fit. Like they become so dynamic with Derrick Henry back there. Now you don't know if you need to stack the box for Derrick Henry or throw a couple spies out there and let all your linebackers be alert for Lamar Jackson. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Stack the box, Lamar's just going to run it out or play action it over the top. You don't stack the box and you spy, all right, Derrick Henry's just going to ground and pound it, and he's not the easiest guy to tackle, so you're going to have to get two people on him for sure. And I don't know. They're interesting for sure. I love the scheme for them. We're going to see going forward for the Bills. I'm not going to overreact. Their offensive line's been taking some hits. They'll be fine. Josh, I mean, the story here for the Bills, I think, is lack of receivers
Mm.
or lack of receiving talent. And it was kind of the story going into the season. We're like, we don't really know. They lost Gabe Davis, they lost Diggs. Did they really replicate that? I haven't seen it yet. Shakir's been fine. Deion Coleman's getting better for sure for them. I think they're going to be a team to watch for
Mhm.
receiving trades at the deadline here because it's becoming very clear they need another guy. They need like a guy.
Devontae
for sure.
Adams to this team would just be incredible. I don't know if we get that off the bat,
Ooh,
but especially
ooh.
considering, just cap
Recent rumors.
implications, not wanting to play, but
Yeah,
it'd be very interesting, and it's
for
something I
sure.
hope for Bills fans' sake because I want to see a show in
Yeah, no,
Buffalo.
me too. I want to see Josh Allen succeed. He's a really fun
Hmm.
quarterback. We'll see though. We'll get more into that as the trade season kind of heats up. And going into our kind of like last real football game of the week and our second real shootout, Seahawks and Lions. Holy moly, Geno
Incredible
Smith
game.
and Jared Goff were slinging that thing.
Hmm.
But it wasn't enough for the Seahawks. Jared Goff threw 18 passes. He completed 18 passes.
Hmm.
His offense scored 42 points. Just incredible
Insane.
efficiency. Insane efficiency. Insane.
Yeah, and the story really was just Seattle could not buy a stop. Like every turn, they
No, their defense got
couldn't
cooked.
even force an incompletion. That's how great this Lions offense was, and it goes back to some of the play calling throughout this game for Detroit was just just
Insane.
insane. I
Insane.
mean, some of those plays obviously you had the Amon-Ra pass to
Really
Jared Goff.
special.
That was crazy. Felt like every turn there was some sort of crazy reverse that just ended up in like 40
Lots of
something
motion.
yards.
And they really couldn't stop
Hmm.
what really affected it was the ground game. They couldn't stop David Montgomery and they couldn't stop Jameer Gibbs.
Hmm.
That opens up passing lanes. And they didn't take many passes, but they made the passes that they did throw count. I mean, it's incredible. Really is. It's incredible. Jared Goff almost averaged 20 yards a pass, if not more than that. Like that's unheard of.
Hmm.
And for the Seattle side, their offense was fine. Kenneth Walker finally back, got 3 touchdowns. Geno Smith looked fine. But I mean, they put up 29 points, but it really just wasn't enough. They got down big late, 21-7 at halftime. They did their best in the second half. Reality is, you couldn't stop their offense, so your defense was it's just bad football.
Hmm. Big time win for the
Reality of it's just
Lions
bad
too.
football.
Big time
Oh,
win.
huge, huge for that division.
Hmm.
Enormous.
Gives them a little bit more of a gives them a little bit more comfort at the top, but or I guess not at the top, but
Yeah, and I mean this is what
but
I expected going into this game. I thought the Lions were going to come out and kind of show their teeth and beat down on these Seahawks a little bit. I don't want to call the Seahawks fraudulent. I didn't think their 3-0 record really was fully representative of who they are. I think they can be a good team. I think they are a playoff team. The defense is what concerns me though.
hmm. Yeah, and the crazy part is too, like they still looked pretty damn impressive minus that defense. I mean, I
Hmm.
we'll see what's going forward for them.
Sure.
I'm fun shootout for this game. Wish we could see more of that. At least maybe the idea of NFL offenses being dead, NFL QB play being dead, maybe it's had bit overblown. A couple nice shootout games this week, so especially this one. Maybe it's because this
If
was
you
just in
watch
prime
Jacoby
time.
Brissett through the ball,
Sorry, man. that is rough, but maybe eventually they'll they'll finally put Drake May in, and so you don't have to watch Jacoby
not
Brissett
until
throw fucker.
not unless our offensive line gets magically fixed. They're too concerned he's going to die back there. They literally have
It,
Jacoby
it's
Brissett out there just to protect Drake May from not getting hit.
it's gonna
It's
get
the
to a
saddest thing in the
it's
world.
gonna get to a point where you have to throw him out there at some point, bro. You can't just
Yeah,
roll
late
out.
in the season. No, late in the season. We'll see him this year. I just don't think. I agree with what they're doing. Don't hurt the kid's confidence, but this line is so bad, bro. It's so bad. It hurts to watch.
Unfortunately, it's what we expected, but
It
we'll
is.
see. We'll see.
But that was your week 4 roundup. What are your biggest reactions to this week? Who's your current favorite for MVP, and who's your current favorite to win the whole damn thing? Why the Patriots? Leave your comments down below. Please like, subscribe, tell Chris more about why his Eagles are awful. It makes him so, so happy. He loves hearing it. Please like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. This has been the Net Report Week 4 NFL Roundup.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great one.